with another episode of the Being Cool Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys Too Long of a Title podcast. You better believe it. You know the drill. Before I introduce my guest here, a little bit of housekeeping. You know it. You see it already, folks. It is spring/almost summer. And I like to dress like I sell cocaine in Miami during that time. And I don't want to hear shit about my outfits in the comments. I don't want to DM saying you look gay, etc., etc. I like to dress like this. So leave me alone. And on that note, folks, we're joined today by the absolutely hilarious comedian we have never met in person until just now, the host of the Boy Room Show, absolutely hilarious. Give it up, everyone in the studio audience, for Rachel Coster.
Wow, thank you. I'm like blown away by your energy. It does feel like there's a million people here, but it's just one teddy bear and a big screen.
Yeah,
and a camera. But the people seeing it, obviously, there's a billion of them.
They have no idea. Conan O'Brien could be in the audience right now, as far as they know. You know.
Sitting right there. Oh, I just whacked it.
It's okay, you can touch it, no worries.
Awesome.
Rachel, I appreciate you coming on the pod. Again, we've never met until just now. How exciting.
It's
I love
really
moments
nice
like this.
and fresh.
Yes, it's very fresh, and I love friends.
Me too. Also, it's nice, like, to meet someone in your community that you haven't met before. So you're like, I'm pretty sure it will be fine and like safe and that we'll get along. Right. Because like unless someone in the community has like exiled you, generally most people are pretty nice.
Yes.
It's the industry. You've got to be kind of a schmoozer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what a total awesome thing.
Yeah. And I do try and be self-conscious about, hey, I am a man inviting a woman to a studio alone and she's never met me.
In the middle of legit the scariest part of town, respectfully.
Everyone comes on this pod and goes, this is scary out here. I can't believe I did this. But you know what, folks? They don't know till they get here. And that's the trick. You got to trick everybody.
And the building looks abandoned, etc.
It does, yes.
But I think that's part of the mystique. It looks like someone's laptop with a bunch of stickers on it or something. Looks like an emo kid or like a college student's
It absolutely.
laptop.
You know what they did?
Or water bottle.
The woman showing me this, or the man showing me this place, he tricked me. You know, they show it during the day. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is cheap. It's perfect. It's dirty or whatever. There's actually a church downstairs that plays music incredibly loud every single night.
There's so much in New York where it's like, they'll say like, oh, it's this, it's bright, it's blah, blah, blah. And then you get there and you're like, I would never have known from a picture on Street Easy, but the train passes through my living room. And it's like, there's so much stuff that can go wrong. And like, it's just what stuff in your apartment you're okay with sucking.
Yeah.
And obviously like studios too.
And you will hear the train here any minute. Know
awesome.
That.
Go girl and feel it. When the earthquake happened, I just thought the train was going under for a second, and then I was like, I'm like kind of wiggling more than I usually do.
Same.
And I was using the bidet, and it was like, it was a really strange experience. I was so scared and also so confused. I was a bad time.
Yeah, the bidet in an earthquake. Timing. You're one of that's a very rare experience.
Oh my God, there's no guidelines either. Like, I already am like, am I supposed to leave the house? It's like, do you turn the bidet off? Do you make it go stronger? And then it's kind of like a power wash. I don't know.
Yeah, you really. I was in my bed when it happened. I was like, go ahead and send the roof on top of me. I'm ready to die. I'm over this life. Rachel, I am, and I feel like you're trapped here. You can move this. I don't want
Thank you so much.
I don't want you.
No, it's okay. It's good to sit really still.
You can't touch it. I mean, you could never touch it. I just mean it a lot. Rachel, I want to say I'm just such a huge fan of your show. I think it's so brilliant.
Thank you so much. I'm glad people are liking it.
Yeah, it's such a I think it's something that's been in like the cultural lexicon. If you haven't seen Rachel's show, it's called Boy Room Show.
With Gymnasium. Also, I'm technically the host. It was my idea, but Gymnasium is in charge.
Right.
And they are the producers and stuff.
But it is your idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad. I think it's like, I was like, it's like too obvious of an idea. And Adam was like, let's send it because I think this is a good idea. And I never would have made it without him. So it's like kind of incredible because I really was like, oh yeah, this is nothing. And then it's turned into a big thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's something that's really in, because men, we do have disgusting rooms.
Generally.
What do you think that is?
I think just boys, you like don't have like as much of an empathetic. There's no pressure. And, like, it's kind of silly, but, like, if a girl is messy, it's like, no one will ever fuck you or love you.
Right.
You are useless. You are worthless. Kill yourself. Whereas with boys, it's kind of like, oh, it's just hilarious. Or, like, oh, kind of get it together. And it's kind of, like, the best way to have a relationship with your mom is, like, to have a messy room because then your mom is like, hey, when are you going to clean this up?
Right. That's a great point.
So it's a good way to stay in touch with her if you're, like, not, I don't really know. I actually think it's just, like, girls, there's so much pressure on the home and like domesticity, and for boys it's kind of like you just have to have a job and someone else will clean up for you, like historically, and honestly things haven't changed that much, respectfully.
Right,
clearly
that's so true.
And so it's like just not really a priority and never has been or never was taught to you as to be a priority.
Wow, that's so true. I never even thought about that before. That's like exactly it. I guess it is like almost culturally more frowned upon as a woman to be a goofball.
You're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I like definitely get in trouble a lot. Or now that I'm out of school, my life is a lot better. But like in school, I was so funny and everyone was really mad at me all the time. And like teachers were always like, you're so disruptive. You're so annoying. You're so, like, I would get punished. And like the boys, they were like, oh my God, he's hilarious. Like I was so much funnier than like all the boys that I went to school with. And that's still true. And they would all say it now. But like at the time it was like I was this fucking challenge that everyone was like, why is this girl so loud?
Right.
And then all the boys were like celebrated for like quoting Family Guy. And I was like, I'm doing something completely different you would never understand. And only now am I finally getting to do it without like being actively punished. And it's still kind of challenging because people on the internet, I will say, not that nice. Especially boys.
God,
to
no.
girls, no.
Oh, being a woman on the internet, try being a closeted homosexual on the internet, let alone a woman. I can't imagine what you go through.
I'm getting shredded like cheese.
What's the meanest thing anyone's ever said to you?
Honestly, like none of it really bugs me because I'm like, you can't say I'm not funny because I am like I'm like that's a not no-brainer. I'm not good at having a job or capital, right. Like gaining capital for myself, and I'm not like particularly fast. That's stuff that you can totally say, and I'm like totally. But if you're saying I'm not funny, it's kind of like, well, you're obviously making that up. Yeah. And then people always say stuff about my weight, which also I'm kind of like, I don't know, say whatever you want. I mean, I just feel bad for like people who are bigger than me or have like more challenges with their body image and how they relate to it because I don't want anyone else to feel bad. Right. And like, but I just know when people are saying shit about the way I look and stuff, it's like, oh, you really just like wanted to hurt someone on the internet today and you chose me and there was something that like, yeah, I guess I'm heavier, but I don't really like care so much. And also I don't think if I'm thinner, it'll make me funnier or cooler or people like me better. So I'm kind of like, okay.
Well, yeah, and I think you nailed it on the head. Anyone who's ever said anything mean online is...
they're always so sad.
Yeah, and then if you say anything back to them, like, oh, my bad, bro. I was just kind of lashing out. It's like, duh.
Or someone DM'd me recently and just said, you suck, which I thought was awesome.
I get that
like in my I was like, okay, no problem. I just immediately blocked. I was like, I don't need this. No problem.
I got one the other day, all caps, just randomly out of nowhere. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Like, God forbid I try and do my own thing. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I supposed to, like, for you, person in like random Gary, Indiana, who's DMing me like you suck, like, why, first of all, why do I need to make you happy? Mm-hmm. And second of all, what could I do to make you happy? Like, what of all the things in the world that I'm doing is the stuff that's pissing you off? Because it feels like it's like you are on your phone. Yeah. And if you just put it away, like all your problems would be so much better. And instead you're like trying to hurt someone who like would probably be really nice to you if you came into their cafe.
Right.
Like if we met, I'd be so nice to all these people who are like, ugly, fat bitch, whatever, not funny. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if you were my friend's boyfriend, I'd be so nice to you, even if I hated you.
Yeah. Well, also, you know what I think it is? I think people are slightly jealous of. Feel free to move it, Rachel. Yeah. I don't want you to be. You can move this stand as well.
No.
I feel like it's also it's like some shameless vulnerability things where people see someone being shameless. Like posting on the internet is a shameless, disgusting habit. But when they see someone do it, they go, "Why can't I do that?" Because it is.
No, totally. It is always just some like, and even when I'm a hater, it's always out of like envy because I'm not doing it. You know, like whenever I'm like, that sucks. Why would you think that you should do that? It's like, no, I'm unhappy with my life. I'm not doing anything I'm excited about. That's why I'm being a huge bitch. And so like, even when I hear people like talking shit about me or whatever, it's like, unless it's valid, because sometimes it is, and I'm
Oh,
like
yeah, me
taking
too.
notes for sure. But like sometimes it really is just like, I think they're just unhappy with their own thing, and when
Yeah.
they're happier, they would never care about what I'm doing. Like, I've been so busy lately, I haven't had time to be a hater, and it's so awesome.
It is
Like,
not.
I legit am like, I really hope everyone's doing well, and I can't even imagine feeling any other way. Whereas, like, a year ago, I was like, come on, twitching in a corner.
It is so nice when finally something goes well in your life and you go, oh, wow, it's been kind of a huge piece of shit for a long
And just like knowing where it came, like just like, oh yeah, I was miserable.
Right.
And it was
yeah.
like something that I kind of could control. Obviously, like you can't control everything in your life, but like some stuff where it's like you're just being grumpy and not working on anything. It's like just throw stuff at the wall. Even if it doesn't find any success, just do a bunch of stuff.
Right, yeah. And also at the end of the day, it's like you're gonna fucking die one day. You might as well enjoy and be a little wacky, a little
Yeah.
fucking get on the internet, post something silly. Who fucking cares? None of it's real, etc., etc. Now, with that being said, I gotta ask. So, one thing I also love about your show
Uh-huh.
is I feel like you're not mean about it. You're like actually interested in
That's
these
important to
disgusting
me.
rooms.
Is I never want to be a bully because again I've experienced it and it's just like
Right.
it's always just like mean and sucks. And also I feel like people would stop letting me into their house. I think also just like the best attitude to have about stuff is like excited and curious.
Right.
And that kind of works in all parts of life. Like anytime you meet someone who's like, what are you up to? Like, what's your, like, when people are excited to hear about what you're up to, it feels so good.
Right.
And
yeah.
it's just like little kids. Also, whenever I meet people, I'm like so complimentary because it's like a nervous tick. And then it also like usually turns into a friendship that I'm like able to kind of let go of the compliments.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
But I think it's just so much better to be open and let people share because like people will get razzed in the comments or like they'll do it to themselves and just be like, yeah, I'm disgusting. And I'm like, okay, no problem. You said it, not me. Or like even just being like, this is gross, but it's like, it's good fun. And I really do understand that like mental illness and your space can be attached. And so I would never like want to be mean to someone about something they can't control. Like if you're really depressed and you haven't had time to clean up, like I don't want to be mean about that because it's something that's already hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fun to see it, and when people will share it, it's so exciting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a big thing that I really don't want to be unkind.
But yeah, I can tell you're like almost excited. Like look at this guy. This guy has like an ashtray in his sheets. You're like, but you're amused. It's very nice. I really because I'm also, but one of my big things is men's bathrooms. I find men's bathrooms.
It's disgusting.
It's like I've never seen one that
It's
isn't grotesque.
So crazy. And even like the cleanest guys, I'm like, honestly, girls, like my bathroom is only clean because me and my roommate are like insane about it.
Yeah.
And like we're on the floor with a sponge. Like there's so many little hairs, so much dust. Shit gets sticky. It's
Yeah.
like wet and then dry. There's a million things that can go wrong. And unless you're being insanely diligent, it just builds up, and then you've got grout out the ass. It's like a
Grout out the ass is the
little trimmings. Oh my god! Sorry,
the beard trimmings on the sink below. Listen, I've obviously been guilty before, but men will trim their beard and then just like go to their job.
And
it's like get it off the
shirt.
sink.
Yeah, it makes me feel really insane because I'm like, that's just an easy thing where you just kind of take a splash and swipe it.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, isn't it scary to you when you return home and see this? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way you don't feel gross, like it's little bugs or something.
Yeah.
I just really, hair freaks me out so much, and it's something that I'm like, get it down the drain immediately.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to know that I have that like out and about. Like I want to be, but I don't know. I'm fucking also out of my mind. I also try not to judge anyone, et cetera, et cetera.
That's the thing. It's like you never know, and like there's some stuff where it's like unless someone shines a light on it, you never look at it.
Yeah.
Like my room, there's problems for sure.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want anyone coming in my room with a camera. Like I really do like, and that's another thing is like they're being so vulnerable, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
And so I am like, how could I be anything other than kind? And also like we have to chat it up with them before and like after. Or not before, usually we like bust in, and then afterwards we have to like get their signature, and like I don't want anyone to feel like I fucked them. Like that would feel so horrible. In the first couple episodes, like before anything came out, like I was worried because I was like, you don't know what we're doing with it. And so I like was nervous because I didn't want them to be embarrassed or like get shredded and like not know what it was for.
Right.
But now that the videos are out, I'm like, okay, boys are signing up for this. I feel a little bit less responsible.
Yeah, and they know what they're getting into. And at the end of the day, if you sign up to be on an internet show, I think you're a certain type of personality in and of your own right as well.
Certainly.
Can I ask you, and this doesn't even have to be on the show, this can just be in your real life. What's the
Mhm.
grossest thing you've ever seen in a guy's room?
I'm trying to think. It's like kombucha brewing and like pickles. Really
Pickles in
old,
the room.
leftover food that's like molding.
Pickles
I'm
in the
trying to
room is
think.
crazy. Warm? I guess
yeah.
it has to be warm.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
no,
was that going to be?
I seen one time I went over to a boy's house like to hook up, and there was a used condom out already, and I was like, why didn't you throw that in the garbage? Like, even if I saw it in the garbage before, like, at least that would be like, oh, like, he fucks, no problem. But this was like, did you just finish fucking? And then you invited me up. Like, it just was so gross. That was upsetting.
I have to be honest, I've done that before on accident. But it's because sometimes I don't want to be disgusting. But
Well,
sometimes,
it's hard when you, like, throw it away and then you, like, don't know where it is or something. But this one, it was, like, in front of his TV.
Okay.
He put it back in the package, like wrapped it up and then put it back on top of the package. And it was like, I got there and I was like, dude, what's your legit problem?
Okay, that's completely psychotic. Sometimes when I fuck, I'll whip a condom off and just like toss it into the ether, because I'm so in the moment. And then 3 days go by and I'm like, oh, thank God no one saw that. But
Yeah.
hey, we're all guilty as charged. And I also will say this: I've been in some women's rooms where I'm like, good Lord, woman, what the hell is going on in
Totally.
here?
And I like have experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Girls can be gross too. It's just a little harder to be like mean to them.
Yeah.
Or
because
like
of
razz
everything
them.
else. Right. Yeah.
But it's not off the table.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to women and shout out to y'all for dealing with all this fucking nonsense. I can't imagine.
It is so funny, and it's like, it's not a deal breaker when a guy's room is crazy, but it's just so nice when someone has a really nice one.
Yeah.
And like, it's clear that they care about their life and like how they present themselves, and you get there and you're like, oh my God, you're doing something different.
Yeah.
It's like kind of awesome.
Now, is there a line though? Sometimes I'm like,
Oh yeah, if it's too clean, I'm like, you're a sex pervert. You have 300 women in your room every night, and you like just change the sheets in between. Like that is kind of scary too.
Yeah.
Or it's like after a first date, it's like, oh, you knew I was coming over. Like that's kind of. But I'm like, don't think about it too much. Like clean your room. If someone comes over and your room is really clean, like I think there's kind of no like way that it's off-putting.
Right. Let me ask you this: what's your take on like colognes? I find colognes to be like #1 sign of a sex pervert.
Totally. I'm like, I really love when people smell good, and like there are some colognes that are really nice, but I am like really sensitive to smell. When I one time I like was out for my lunch break at work, and this woman sat next to me and she was wearing perfume, and I like almost strangled her because it was ruining my vibe so hard. And when people wear a perfume I don't like, I'm like, you can't wear that around me ever again.
Yeah.
If you want me to be your friend.
Yeah,
Which I feel evil about. Sorry, I keep burping.
I don't care. We got the Perriers.
Awesome.
There is something about
But colognes, I'm like, if they like are like a freak about it and like
they have their favorites and shit.
Yes. I mean, everyone's got their thing going on, and I think it's nice when boys take care of themselves. So I'm like, I don't want to judge, but every now and then, if someone it's like if they care more about their colognes than like me, I'm like, this sucks.
Right.
Like that happens with dogs all the time, where you go over to a boy's house and they're like, my dog goes on the bed first, like sorry, or like if the dog doesn't like you, you gotta go. Like that shit is insane.
A man will treat a dog better than his girlfriend.
A billion percent. I've been treated like secondary to dogs by 3 men. It's insane. And it's like, okay, that's your priority, no problem, but like I'm not sticking around. I have fucking self-respect, and dogs are like, they come and go.
Right.
That's their whole thing.
Right.
And they don't want to live like this. They're supposed to be running free.
Yeah, they don't want to
You're
be
sick. You need to have control over something.
Yeah.
Like people with cats, I'm like, yeah, no problem. You like to like have companionship, but with a dog, it's like you want to own that thing.
Yeah,
and
you
run
really
it
need it
around.
to smile at you when you come home. It's like, just fucking be alone for a
I
second,
couldn't
my
agree
guy.
more. It makes me so. It feels insane.
It's so true. Men will literally treat a dog better than their girlfriend, and then be like, I don't know why she's so mad at me. And listen, Guilty. I'm also not perfect.
Do you have a dog?
No, but I've certainly like
Well,
treated
I've
my
also
cat.
been, I don't know. It's hard. Dating is hard because you think something's funny and they're like, that wasn't funny to me. And you're like, totally. And in hindsight, of course, now I know that.
I just had a date last night, and
how
boy,
did it go?
well,
This is coming out in August, so
Right.
or we recorded this months ago. My
Right.
hair, I was wearing a wig.
Right. I had a date, and it was the same thing where I was like, man, I'm really being myself, and she is not digging it.
Well, I'm like I'm like a little bit more normal on dates, obviously, because I'm like trying to be a person, or I'm just like, I'm not performing. And so
Yeah.
I'm like a little more subdued, but then like stuff peeks out and I'm like, you gotta know about this because I don't want to like dupe you into thinking you're getting some like chill girl.
Right,
Because
yeah.
I'm insane.
Yeah, I've made the mistake in the past of like being very normal on a date and then unloading about 3 dates in who I actually am.
Oh no.
Oh, that's the only way it goes even worse. And they're like, what did you just say?
Yeah, and you're like,
What?
oh yeah, I've always been a little silly.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a goofball.
I just forgot to tell you.
And fellas, that is always, again, tip number 1. You gotta be a goofball despite all odds. It's
Be
the only way to
yourself.
survive this cold,
Be
dead
yourself,
world.
but minus 10%.
Yeah, that was a question we had last episode, was how do you be yourself without freaking a woman out?
Well,
And,
I think you don't have to share everything right away. You know what I mean? Like,
You're right.
I'm really obsessive about my sleeping, but I'm not like saying that on my first date.
Right.
And
yeah.
I'm also like a control freak and like a hustler and like such a type A freak, even though I'm like kind of messy and don't look like I'm type A. And so I'm like, I save that for later.
Right,
Because it's
yeah.
not like particularly attractive or whatever, but I don't like hide it. It's just kind of like I'm not putting it. You don't have to share everything right away, but you also don't. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know.
I kind of unloaded last night. I unloaded my YouTube algorithm on this woman. I was like, here's what I'm watching on YouTube. And that was a huge mistake.
Totally. That's scary. That's the scariest thing I could ever imagine. That's like, here's my favorite porno. Like, that's a crazy thing to share about your psyche.
It was like a guy building a log cabin in the woods. I was like, I really love
seen
this
that.
guy.
It's so
I love
sweet.
shit like that. But I think she was kind of like, damn, this dude's maybe a sex pervert, you know? And I
Yeah,
certainly look
totally.
like one in my own right, right? Awesome. Well, incredible, Rachel. I'm glad we got some of that out of the way. Already an incredible interview portion yet again.
You're a good interviewer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for saying that. Shout out to the boys who wrote in. You guys have some good questions as well. We also have one from a woman here, which is, again...
Not allowed.
I do love when the ladies write in. God knows I'm so sick of men asking me what t-shirt to wear, but let's fucking get after it here.
Boxy crop.
I do love a boxy crop.
I keep getting ads for the perfect boxy crop.
I get the similar ones, yeah, where it's because I've been cropping my tees for
Yeah.
the summer, you know.
Also, I accidentally looked at a gay underwear, there was a hot guy wearing underwear, and I like clicked on it, and now all of my ads are like gay underwear things, and I'm like, I guess that's honestly kind of awesome.
I've been trying to heal my Instagram Explore page because
Mm-hmm.
there are butts on there, respectfully.
Totally, boys are different.
Yeah,
And they like you have no choice. It feels like.
Well, if you show me one butt on Instagram,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
looking.
gonna look at the rest.
It's something. But what I've done now is I've been sending dogs,
Ah.
and I'm getting more dogs than butts now.
I
It's
get a
nice.
lot of AI chubby Asian babies stealing food. Or like up to no good. They're like being naughty and like being chased, and they're like, oh sorry.
You're moving.
And they're so sorry. And they're so chubby.
chubby. There is nothing cuter than a chubby Asian baby. Absolutely no mistake. Here we go. I feel like you were trapped. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right.
Also, I get a lot of guys telling, like 15-year-old boys being like, bro, she's not ever coming back. You need
Yeah.
to start working on your chest now so that by the time you go to college, you're shredded. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, they're like in their room being like 12 dips, 12 push-ups every day. Get rid of your man tits, you know?
Oh my God, it makes me really sad.
Sometimes I watch that shit and I'm like, damn, that's just what I'm doing, but in a studio.
Yeah, definitely.
Incredibly embarrassing.
No, I think you're doing something nice. You're
Right.
looking out and you're like, you're not trying to be like scary.
Right.
And you don't seem like oppressive. Well, I don't know you that well. But
You never know. I could be a sex pervert. You never
totally,
know.
totally. I'll have to ask around.
Yeah, let me know if anybody goes, that guy's a sex pervert, and I'll go, my bad. All right, let's get into some questions here. Boy, I really got the chest out. Anyways, this first one, I love this question because they almost ask it every week.
What is it?
This guy says, how do I approach a woman in public? It's
Don't.
scary.
It's scary. Don't do that.
Yes.
Sorry. Unless you really have to.
Well, that was kind of my advice. They say it's scary, they're scary, and the apps are no longer really working for me.
I think the best thing is like go to parties and go like be like with like don't do it when you're alone. I think if you're alone approaching a woman, that is really scary.
Especially for the woman, right?
Yes.
Right.
And like don't approach someone at their job. Like don't like and also like I am constantly getting approached when I'm literally just chilling on like a park bench and it like makes me feel insane. I've never sat in public and not have someone come over and be like, "Hey, gorgeous." It's like freaks me out.
No way, really?
So and I'm not even that pretty. Like I'm beautiful
Whoa, Jesus,
for sure, but like but I am like what are like the hotter girls than me having to experience? Because this is a nightmare. Like reading a book, like you can never just do that if you're a girl, guys come over. So I'm kind of like if a girl seems like she's doing her own thing, that's not really the time to do that. I think the best times is like at parties, like chat it up with girls, ask your friends like, oh, is she single? And be like, can I have her number? Can you set it up? Or like follow each other on Instagram and then DM or something. Like I think that just like cold introducing yourself to girls can be really scary. And I think no girl is really wanting that.
That's something for the YouTube perverts. Those guys who get on YouTube and they're like, their whole YouTube channel is them like going up to a woman in public and like tricking them into giving them their number.
Yeah, it just feels kind of scary. Also, like we're all kind of girls are always on edge. Like when a girl is standing around, she's on edge because men are and I don't know that this is true, but I know that it's true because you're just kind of waiting for something bad, or you're just like. You know that it's possible at any moment.
Right.
And also, usually you're just kind of like chilling. I think the best thing to do is like join a gym that's like CrossFit or something where it's like community or like pickleball, you know, like some sort of like.
You got to get into CrossFit if you want to approach a woman.
No, I don't know. Just somewhere where it's like kind of community based so that they feel supported and not like targeted.
Right.
Because I think if you're like with your friends and you chat it up with someone. Or like DMing, I don't know. There's just something a little bit easier about like online reaching out than approaching a stranger in public.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I don't know if I haven't asked a woman out in person since probably like 2011 when I was like 19 or whatever. Like, I mean, I literally, and I think I did it once and she was like, what the hell? And then she sprinted. But also I meet a lot of women who are like, I'm so sick of being asked out on the internet. Someone asked me out in person.
Okay, totally. Well, I think it's totally figured out at IRL, like if it seems like you're vibing with each other. But I think just seeing a hot person and going, do you want to go on a date? Is like, that's not really the best entry.
Please fuck me. I would love it if you fuck me. That's the vibe you're giving off, you know?
But I do know that a lot of men are lonely out there. And so I'm like, I think the best thing is to find like a group activity, even if it's with strangers, like in your town, if there's like a pool hall or like karaoke night or
pool hall.
I have literally no idea. I don't know. And I know that it's so much harder for boys dating. I do think that like is for every like girl, or I mean, girls were having a hard time finding boys, but like boys, there's a million girls in it. I'm sure it's really challenging to, I was just thinking about masculinity and how hard it is for boys to ask. So I'm sensitive to it, and I do feel for you. I think it's hard. I think just like group stuff or anywhere where it's like intramural sports, like that's the way to get to know someone before. And then it doesn't feel like this shallow thing where it's like, he only likes me because I'm hot. Like, what if he doesn't like who I am?
Right, yeah.
You know, it's so much nicer to meet at a party and then being like, oh, like, I like your friend, you know?
Right.
That's just so
that
much
the asking
better.
through a friend is really the cheese, boys. Boy, that is kind of my go-to.
I think it's the best way because then you get to kind of vet, like, are they single? Do you think they would be interested? And what's the best approach? Or like, are they crazy? Like, sometimes I'll be like, that person's so hot, and my friends are like, he is like wanted in 3 states, and I'm like, thank you for the heads up. That's crucial. Why are you friends with him? But also, no problem.
I will reach out and be like, hey, is I would love to go out with your friend, and sometimes women will be like, no.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair.
I also think it's like you just have to prepare yourself for any rejection because like 90% of the time people say no, or honestly more than that. I would say 95% of the time people say no to stuff, and it's like that's no problem. Like you have to just be like, I'm lovable, I'm cool. If the person I have a crush on doesn't want to fuck me, no problem. I'm not gonna like be weird about it.
Well, that's actually a great segue then, Rachel.
And always ask people before you get to a point of no return crush. Like if you're like
Yeah.
kind of crushing on someone, it's like, yeah, you want to go out or something.
Oh,
Like I think
yeah.
that's so much better than like building
Oh,
until
that's
you're like,
such
I'm
good
gonna
advice.
die.
Yes.
And then you ask, and then they're like, no, and then you're like, I'm ruined.
Yes, I have done that. I've made that
I, like,
mistake 50 times in my life.
Whenever I meet a hot person and like we even kind of hit it off, I'm like, or when I was single, I would be like, do you want to hang out? And like whenever they would say no, I was like, yeah, no problem, I just met you. But if they said yes, I was like, okay, cool. And then like before I was like madly in love and losing my mind.
I start building I'll literally like, I'll see a woman on the internet, DM her, and then for about an hour kind of think about what our wedding will be like, think about how our kids would look, et cetera, et cetera. And then they don't respond, and then I go, what the fuck just happened for an hour? Did I just like drift into Looney Tune land for an hour? And
dating is one of the hardest things in the world, and love is like evasive and challenging, and
evasive is right.
Or something. It's just like loving yourself or just being comfortable with yourself enough to be like, if someone says no to me, I'll be okay, is so crucial before you start asking people out.
I could not agree more. And I actually love that you brought that up because I want to segue this in the next question. This guy said, this girl just ghosted me and low key, it really hurt.
I'm sorry.
How do you deal with rejection? And I want to go off that as well. It's so true, bro. You got to start with A, you got to love yourself. And B,
and
bro.
have like good friends and a bunch of support because like people are disappointing. And especially in dating, like everyone has a different idea of what's normal or like what's appropriate. And so you just have to be like, most stuff is their stuff. Like, unless I was really creepy or I was out of line or I said something really fucked up. Like, most stuff, it's like they had a vibe that was different than mine and they don't want to see me again. And it has nothing to do with me being lovable or cool.
Yeah.
I'm still awesome. We're just like, they saw something that I didn't see that was going to be a problem down the line. Or they're in love with their ex. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I've been on so many dates where I'm like, this person is so awesome. I never want to hang out again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, or like, we'll be seeing each other for a while and there's just one day where I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. Like, or like, I don't think this is going to get better. And I don't think that we need to like waste any more time together or something. Like, I'm not like really a goals oriented dater. Like, I'm kind of like, I just like spending time with people I really like and doing stuff with them. But there are some times where it's like, I think that we've kind of run out of stuff we like talking about. And I think ghosting is really nasty. I'm really sorry that happened to you. And I also, I just am like,
can I say this about ghosting?
What's
though?
up? Well, sometimes people think ghosting is ghosting, and I'm like, no, you guys weren't really that close.
Ghosting is okay if it's like one date.
Yeah.
But I sometimes I feel like it's like, what do you want? Do you want a message where she messages you back and goes, well, here's the reasons I'm no longer interested? If it's after a few dates, I get that can be pretty painful. But if it was just one date and you kind of did what I was just talking about and fell in love with her, and then you were like, oh, she didn't text me back. She doesn't owe you an explanation.
Yeah.
I am guilty of that. I do a lot of ghosting after a first date. I cannot lie because it's like, I'm not going to explain to the stranger why I'm not interested in them. That seems a little mentally ill.
I think with ghosting, I'm like, as long as you like respond when they text you like once.
Right.
You know, like if someone's like, hey, do you want to hang out again? And you're like, I'm kind of busy. And you never follow up. Like, I don't think that's ghosting. I think that's like you just don't really like them that much.
Right. Yeah.
And if they keep following up and you have to explain it, then that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so challenging. But I think like if you hang out with someone and then they're like, thanks, I had a nice time, and you never respond, that's really shitty.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's New York and you're going to see them somewhere, or someone knows you, and it's like, why would you do that to yourself and create this landmine? And also just be unkind to someone. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like when I've ghosted in the past, it's been because I get so anxious about rejecting someone because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And then what I end up doing is I make them even angry at me by saying nothing at all. And so you do have to have a little courage. So I would say to you, bro, you know.
One time I texted a guy and he was like, I had a really nice time. I'm not really interested in hanging out again. I'm just kind of busy. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what an awesome thing to say. Because I'm like, yeah, I kind of liked him. But it was kind of nice to just be like, not be like guessing and like, should I text him again? Should I ask if he wants to hang out again? Like, is he actually busy?
Right.
Like, just making me feel
save
totally
them the
insane.
pain.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, good, no problem.
And that's what I would say to you, bro. She probably saved you the pain, and I know you liked her, and you probably had all these ideas about you, your future together, etc. But at the end of the day, bro, the only way to get better at rejection is to have it happen 1,000 times, so you're one step closer. You know.
I think so, and I think with dating, the best way to, I mean, obviously, it gets to a point, especially if you haven't like found connection in a long time or ever, it gets to a point of like panic and desperation. But I really do think that like in dating, the best thing to ever be is chill and kind of open to any possibility.
Yes.
And with equal measure. Like, if we fall in love and get married, that's just as likely and okay as if we'd ever see each other again.
Yes.
And so you go in kind of like, I'm just meeting a person and it'll be nice.
And that's why I'm always big on like go on dates even if like you're not sure. It's like just
if someone
the date
asks you out and you're like, okay, no problem, not my type, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's like you never know, bro. You might end up with the absolute queen of your life with a woman you never would have expected to be in love with in the first place, and vice versa. But also, bro, I've been there, and I totally understand how you're probably feeling right now. Just know you're fine. Yeah. And
you're lovable for sure.
Yeah, somebody will touch it at some point, my guy. Don't feel lost in that regard. Mm-hmm. All right, this is a great one. This guy is kind of a long one, but he says, my girlfriend and I don't have as much sex as we used to. We used to have sex pretty consistently, parentheses, 3 to 4 times a week.
Go, girl.
Nice. That's kind of a lot, my guy. Go ahead. And it was great for us both. It's a tale as old as time, but recently some personal stuff and busy work schedules have really gotten in the way. I keep trying to spice things up, but it's still very infrequent. At first, I was totally fine with it. I understand there are ups and downs, but I'm starting to worry this won't change. I don't want to be one of those couples in a rut for years. WWTD. What would Tucker do?
Totally.
Fire
what
at
would
the
Tucker
ending
do?
there. I got to be honest, my guy, this was a tough one for me because one thing I struggle with is maintaining relationships for a long time. And
why do you think that is?
Oh, man, I mean, I could go on for hours, but I think I've really struggled in the past with, I get to a point of like really loving someone and then I either love bomb them so much that it's a little intense for them and they freak out a little, or I go I'm very like 100 or 0.
I'm similar.
Yeah, and
or
then
like
I'm
just like so yeah.
And then I go, oh, I'm so nervous about loving this person that I kind of pull myself out entirely. And it never goes well. But in this scenario, I would say, bro, I'm not really sure.
I think with that, it's like, I think obviously chatting about it is probably the best thing. Just being like open about what you're experiencing and being like, I would like to be having sex more. And if you're feeling like you don't want to have sex with me ever again as much as we used to, like we should talk about that. Obviously, it's so challenging. Yeah. It's like the hardest thing in the world because it's so sensitive and it's like with the person you love more than anyone else. And you're just like, but I think talking about it is like, even though it's impossible or feels impossible, it's like worth it. And she's probably feeling similar stuff or she's got something else going, or I don't know. That's scary to think about, but like,
it's bringing up sex is so fucking difficult with your partner because it feels like it's like everything weighs on that so intensely.
Yeah,
if your
and
sex
it's so vulnerable and it's like, but it is kind of like, it's something that it's only fun if both of you are having a good time, you know, like otherwise it just sucks.
Yeah.
Or like you're both wanting it as much as each other, or I don't know.
But also we do preach on this podcast that sex is fucking mid, bro. And
oh my God. Disagree. I'm sorry to
I understand. I mean, sex is awesome.
No, but sometimes it's like to obsess about it and have it be the center of your universe can be really negative.
Yeah, I'm sure you're probably horny, but do not let this shit like dictate your love for another human being. At some point, bro, you'll get used to it. I'm not saying it's gonna last forever, but don't break up with a woman because she's not fucking you enough. Unless she never fucks you ever again, then in which case that's not really a relationship, etc.
Yeah, but I do think it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
And also it's just like it's hard because like when you have sex with someone all the time, you're like, it just does become kind of like
it loses the intrigue.
Yeah, it just loses the excitement. And so you could talk about being open if that's something that you would be interested in, or you can talk about like if you want to like watch porn together. Like you can change it up and do kind of anything. Like there's a million stuff. And you can also talk about going to therapy together or like sex therapy together.
Yeah.
Or like looking up what people online are doing with each other, but do it together. Like I think make sure that you're chatting with her about all this stuff. And be like, do you want to do this? Like, do you want to do this? Is it not important to you at all?
Yeah. I've been in some sex therapy in my life, and it's fantastic.
Really?
I cannot recommend that enough.
That's awesome. Did you go alone or with a partner?
I went alone. I struggle with a lot of.
I'm sorry to hear. Or glad that you're.
No, it's good. It was like I struggle with a lot of I got a lot of sexual hookups, if you can
I
believe
think
it.
a lot of boys do. I mean, girls too, definitely, but like I think it manifests different in boys, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more pressure on guys to be
Yeah.
like performing.
When I grew up very religious, and so I had a tough
yeah.
time like accepting sex as a fun and interesting thing. I saw it from
Oh, I'm
almost.
sorry.
I'm fine now. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
totally.
course.
I mean, I'm literally a sex pervert now, but but back in the
Congrats.
day, yeah, it was real. But yeah, I would say look into that, bro. You know, whatever y'all are going through, you both seem to be going through it, and
And you're like, it's something that every couple goes through.
precisely,
And
yeah.
so I think it's worth like chatting with her first and then seeing if you can do something together to figure it out. But you don't have to do it alone. And you shouldn't do it alone because that's kind of the whole point of like relationship is that you're in it together.
And bro, if you haven't yet, let her toss a finger up there. Do something new. I'm
It's
sure you're getting
awesome.
wacky, but really get wacky. Really fucking get on the internet and maybe fucking put a sex swing in your ceiling or something and
Or
see
like
what you
do
think.
drugs together. Or like, well, I don't want to suggest. I don't know if you're sober or whatever. The guy who asked that, but like
do
doing
some Molly
drugs
and
together and
suck each
fucking can be
other.
kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, take some Molly and like fucking suck each other off and see if that doesn't wake you up inside a little, for the love of God. But I totally get it, bro. I've been there. Everyone's been there. Everyone's been in a relationship where you go, I want to fuck more, but life gets in the way because life is hell, and that's how this shit fucking goes. Hang in there and fucking open up those butt cheeks
If you want to.
If you want to, yes. All right. This is a great question that I'm glad you. This guy says, "What are some good ways to spice up my wardrobe? What do women even want to see me in? I'm so lost. Thanks."
I think, well, one thing that's important is that you should be dressing for yourself and not girls.
Amen.
It is so funny. There's so many
Amen.
things that like whatever wave of feminism we're in like have kind of handled already for girls, but then boys are kind of now in the point where they're like haven't caught up to stuff, and it's like, dude, dress for yourself. Like I'm sure you look awesome. And like look at people online, you know, you don't have to have a lot of money. You can go to like H&M or Urban Outfitters or whatever.
Yeah.
And like get like some pants that feel good, and I don't know, look at what other people are doing. And for boys it is honestly so much easier because you only have to wear pants and a shirt and a jacket, you know what I mean? With girls, there's like a lot of stuff, and I'm constantly freaking out about it. But I think with boys, find like a guy who's a celebrity who dresses cool. Figure out where stuff is falling on them, or someone with your body type.
Yeah.
Someone with your body type who feels like your vibe, because maybe they're too fancy or maybe they're too like hype beast. Like be yourself, but find a celebrity who you think has your body type and your like kind of style, and look at what they're wearing and what stuff you're wearing that's not looking like that.
Yes.
Because I think it's so easy to fall into like a pattern of like, I'm wearing the same stuff I've worn since I was in 7th grade. And so it's good to have some new stuff in the mix, and like go to a store and try on weird shit that you can't afford or that you never thought would be cool, and just be like, do I feel awesome in this? And try new stuff. And honestly, if you like miss a couple times, no problem. But that's like my big thing is like go into a store with like a bunch of shit and try on stuff that you never would have thought of and be like, I kind of look like a like sailor.
Dude, and here's the thing that's really plaguing men fashion wise, which when you're like, what do women want to see me in? What you're afraid of, bro, what that means is you're actually afraid of putting in any effort at all. And so you want a woman to be like, do this, it'll be right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put in some effort and fuck up and look like a goofball every now and then to find out where you want to go. There's like this thing with men of like, if I try and dress cool, everyone's going to think I'm gay, or everyone's going to think I sell cocaine in Miami, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, you got to be willing.
You're so worried your friends are going to be like, that's different. Whoa, big guy. But it's like, if you start dressing better, literally people will just go, that's nice. You know, like no one will ever be like, oh, you think you're too good for us now? Like people will just be like, I love this. Like whenever I see my friend and they've clearly taken a swing, I'm like, that looks awesome.
Yes. You're in a damn Juicy J shirt. How could, it's like, we got to be taking swings out here.
I like, style is like one of my my trigger points, or like soft points, like a thing I'm not very good at, but like, I know what's going on, and you just gotta look at what other people are doing and see what feels like it's close enough to your style, but is like a more updated version if you like probably haven't changed how you dressed in 7th grade. Dude, and then also, experiment with like a little chain, have a little fun.
I also like to
unbutton
preach,
your shirt in a new way.
Yeah, take the chest out. I like to preach the three time rule. This is what you do, bro. The first time you wear a fucking new outfit, all your boys are gonna be like, look at this guy dressing like he's a fucking Caribbean, whatever. The second time you wear the outfit, your most annoying friend will be like, oh, you look gay, you look like an idiot. By the third time you wear that outfit, that's what you wear now.
Mm-hmm.
You're 3 away
also,
from
like,
doing
if
whatever.
your guy friends are being like, you look gay, but girls are liking it, then it's like, well, your question was, what do girls want? So like, don't worry about if the guys are being a little nasty.
Yes.
But also if they like really seem to have your best interest in heart and they're being nasty, then listen. I don't know your friends. It's kind of challenging to know.
Men can be dogs when it comes to like a man wearing something. They're kind of like, if you step outside of a certain bounds, they're like, who does this fucking guy think? They'll send you out a message on IG in all caps saying, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, totally. Stay in line.
But yeah, you gotta just be willing to fail, bro. It's the same thing as anything else in life. You're gonna look stupid at some point, and then one day you won't. You know,
yeah,
it's
and you might as well look stupid now because you'll forget about it in a year.
Yeah.
But if you try in a year, then you've got a whole year to think about how it's coming up.
Yeah, precisely. All right, last question here. We got one more. This is a question from a lady, and we appreciate you writing in, women. You know I'm a pro. I guess it's the second one from a woman, actually. She says, I hate my best friend's fiance. I really
keep it to
hate
yourself
him.
forever, girl.
That's
Never tell anyone. That's not your fucking problem.
The question was, should I tell
him? No, you're not allowed to say anything. Unless he's a threat or like cheating on her. I'm so sorry, but like hopefully they'll break up or something. But like she'll figure it out on her own, and you really cannot say that because you will get cut out. He is coming into her family, and you will get cut out. And you don't want to.
He's
do
in
that.
too deep. He's either
if he's
tricked her.
dangerous or like a bad guy, then I guess you can say something. But I think like it's just too messy, and the odds are she will choose him over you, which will feel like the worst thing in the world because it is. But
has that happened to you?
No, I'm just.
Oh, yeah.
I just know how like life works.
Right. Yeah. There's been so many times.
I'm so sorry. You can talk shit about it to everyone. Do not tell her.
Yeah. I've had so many like my friends' girlfriends where I've been like, I don't know what she's doing with it. And then you know what? After a while, I actually warm up to them. I think maybe you just need a little time. Unless, again, of course, he's like a fucking abusive sociopathic monster, in which case you're just going to have to ride that out because no matter what you say, you are doomed.
Yeah, and odds are you're not alone. Like, probably all your friends don't like him too. So, like, just find community in that. But I think unless he's posing a threat to her, like, safety or is abusive or manipulative or something, then, like, it's tough. And I think that it's got to be her choice to be with him. And you can just be like, I don't really like hanging out with the two of you together. Or if you're, like, a big friend group, then just, like, dodge him when you're all together. But, yeah, I think that one's tough.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it ain't your fucking fiance.
No, marry
so
whoever you
who fucking
want.
gives a shit, you know?
Marry someone she hates.
Yeah.
Get her back.
Yeah, that really is the key. And then y'all can go out and just stare at each other like, look what we've done with our
like
fucking lives.
Double dates on her.
I do understand that quarrel as well, though, because God knows sometimes your friends date some people and you go, what the fuck are you doing? This person's an idiot. Sometimes I see people dating each other and I'm like, you guys clearly are not meant for one another, but
totally,
you know, what the hell do I know?
What's your background?
It's a phone that says reminder one day you'll die.
Good stuff.
You know, gotta remember, you never know. All right, well, incredible. That's been the pod.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rachel, you're the
Weird
goat.
Little guys that need help from a guy. What's it called? What's
the practical, or it's called, boy, I barely remember. It's called the Being Cool Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys who want to be cool podcast.
Okay, amazing.
Incredible.
And you're all beautiful guys. I really think men are amazing, and I wish that you guys had better coping mechanisms and community building experiences because it's tough.
And I do love men as well. That's why I do this. I find men get a bad rap, and I think we are trying. And some of us are absolute psychomaniacs, but at the end of the day, a lot of us are good people, et cetera, et cetera. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on the show. Plug everything you got. Tell them where you're at. Get the, I'll put it all on here, the websites, whatever, et cetera.
Awesome.
Hit them with it.
I'm Rachel Coster. You can just add me wherever. And I'll probably add back if you're hot or if you're kind or if you're famous.
Precisely. And check out the Boy Room show. Absolutely incredible with Gymnasium. And yeah, that's it. Thank you again for coming on. And see you boys and a few of you ladies next week.